to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes. Call the show now at 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free 800-790-0415 or soundbytes.org. Now, alongside Steve Ray and Dave Enright, here's Nick Francesco on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the chips in the PC. It is Saturday, the 27th day of January, Anno Domini 2024, and you lucky people, you're listening to Sound Bytes. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 6 minutes after the hour, we're going to be bringing you news, views, things to choose, nothing to lose. Kick off your shoes. Did you pay your dues? Don't get the blues. Here comes the news.
And we should say happy birthday to Macintosh.
That Mac was 40 years old this month.
On January 24th, we found out why 1984 wasn't like 1984.
Exactly.
But it certainly feels like 2024 is like 1984.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
I almost unpacked my Macintosh, my original.
Yeah, a lot of people were posting their original Mac.
Almost did.
Especially if it still runs. That's amazing.
Well, what's interesting is I had the original 128K Mac, then turned it into a Fat Mac, the 512K version. And then Kevin Kondo stuck 2 megabytes, 2 massive megabytes into it. We booted it up. Nothing happened.
Yep.
Because it took forever to count up
Yep.
check the RAM.
I got mine from Gabe Hamidian. Remember Gabe?
Yeah, I remember. No, did I get mine from Gabe? Or no, I got mine from Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. So I put 4 megs in mine.
Ooh.
So $1,000.
Yeah.
My buddy bought a 100 meg hard drive.
Oh, man.
$1,000.
100 meg?
Yep.
Wow.
And a few months later, we both bought the opposite.
Yeah, right.
4 megs of RAM and 100 meg hard drive.
Right. What were you going to do with all of that?
Yeah. We played games mostly.
Yeah, mostly, yeah. All right, here's the news. Security researchers have warned that a database containing no less than 26 billion with a B leaked data records has been discovered. The supermassive data leak, or mother of all breaches as the researchers refer to it, is likely the biggest found to date. The newly discovered database of leaked data runs to 12 terabytes in size. You would not have been able to fit it on that 100
megabyte drive, yeah.
That's equivalent to 15,600 filing cabinets. And God bless whoever did that math. Records from users of platforms and services such as Twitter, Dropbox, LinkedIn, Adobe, Canva, Telegram, Tencent, and Weibo were all found in this database. Worryingly, the researchers also say that records from an assortment of U.S. and other government organizations can be found there. If there is good news to be found in such a discovery, it's that little of this appears to be new data. Instead, the researchers say it's more a case of compiled records from thousands of previous breaches and data links. What's more, there are undoubtedly a large number of duplicate data records within this compilation. The inclusion of usernames and password combinations does, however, still mean this is a cause for concern. I'd expect a surge if current levels aren't high enough in credential stuffing attacks over the coming weeks as a result. We must all assume that some of our data are held in this data set. As such, we all must take action to protect ourselves. Enabling two-factor authentication is a significant step in protecting ourselves against attacks that involved breached credentials. Also, of course, changing your passwords to something you've never used before is an excellent idea. Above all else, though, don't panic. If you maintain good credentials hygiene, use strong and unique passwords that are not reused elsewhere, and use two-factor authentication where available, you should be safe. If you don't, now is a great time to start panicking. Our poll of the week at soundbytes.org, that's Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you, is 26 billion records leaked. And your choices are, I've got some protection in place, I'll start changing passwords today, I'll get around to it, I'm burying my head in the sand, and don't care if I get hacked. So far, there's 25 votes, and I've got some protection in place, luckily is in the lead. Notice I don't have I'm protected, because you're never fully protected. Notice I don't have I'm going commando, baby, because that leads people to click on it without thinking. But this is what's there. And
I use the same password for everything.
exactly.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Unbelievable.
They've added 9 now in the top password.
Oh,
leaked
to make
list.
it harder?
It's now they added a 9.
9 is there?
Yep.
I don't have that many spaces on my luggage.
Yeah.
So, give us a call and tell us what password protections you have in place. Aside from a notebook that's 15 years old and you can't remember which password goes to what. 585-9... You know who I'm talking to, Brian. 585-966-CHAZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free 800-790-0415.
Had another argument this week with a customer trying to use the same password for everything after they got breached.
Unbelievable.
No, you can't do that.
Right.
But it's too hard to keep a track of all those passwords. That's why they make programs to
Even
do
a book
that
to write
for
them down
you.
in. And again, every time I have a customer that brings their password book, they try it and it doesn't work, they start flipping the page. No, cross that one off. It doesn't
Exactly.
work. That way we won't try it again in 6 months.
That's exactly
Right,
right.
do you
And
know-
why are you starting at the front of the book?
Yeah.
Start at the back of the book where the new passwords are.
Wait a
Yep.
minute, you guys have met my wife. Oh, shit.
And date them. Date when you
Yep.
gave it that How hard is that? It takes 1 second to add the date.
No, I don't even. That gives me headaches thinking.
I
And-
know what's best is to use a password manager.
That is, I mean, knock on wood. I have been using NPass now for it's got to be a good 3-4 years, and I don't care how simple of a system that I'm going into. Maybe I'll never do it again, or it might be another couple years. I write down that password, or the website and all that, or I'll just open up NPass on the other screen and quick paste the website in there and give
That's
it
what
some
I do every
name
time.
and everything else, and have it create a nice, long, strong password.
Yeah, people are still under the misconception that passwords have to be complex gibberish that you can't remember.
Right.
Complexity isn't the key. Length is the key.
Length is the key.
Horse, staple, monkey, paycheck.
Battery.
Battery. I always forget the fourth one. 4 words. That's a long password, easy to remember, and relatively not that specific one anymore. 'Cause
Right.
relatively easy to remember, and long is better. So I just posted a link to the GRC password haystack, so you can
Yep.
type in a password and to see how long it will take you to be cracked.
And that password, they say, and we seem to trust Gibson, it doesn't get saved anywhere.
Yeah, it's only done locally in your own computer.
Right.
And back to the 26 billion records leaked. All the browser companies, Safari and Chrome and Firefox, they use Troy Hunt's "Have I Been Pwned" website to tell when your password has been leaked. And so you can go there and put your email address in, and he'll warn you when there's a new leak. So that's the biggest scare about this new collection of 26 billion. That there's one breach and they get your email address. There's another breach and they get a social security number. There's another breach and they get a date of birth. Individually, they don't.
Slowly picking away
Right.
at it.
Individually, they don't go for much. But by compiling all this data together and linking that information together, that's all people need to steal your credit.
Right.
But
And go ahead.
I was going to say, but the thing of it is, though, with the password manager, you don't have to remember those things. Most of, like NPass, I just sit there, and if I go to their website, it'll all of a sudden say, all right, you want to use this password that you saved for this particular website? Yeah. And it puts it in there, and that can be 54 characters long,
And we're
And
starting.
it generates 64 character passwords.
and I don't have to remember it.
I for the fun of it, I pasted several. I spent much of an evening while I was watching the movie pasting passwords that NPass had generated into the
Password
haystack.
haystack. Yeah.
A million years, 700 billion years.
Yeah.
We'll see the heat death of the universe before this password gets cracked.
There was an episode of Security Now a few years ago that I can never find it again when I want to, but someone did a research project. So it was probably somebody's doctoral thesis. They went to all the banks, shopping companies, things like that, and calculated how long what their password requirements were. So this site wants an 8-character password, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. That's the best. And they were shocked at how many banks they found that would allow a 3-character password.
Yeah.
Which means it checked for 1, it checked for 2, 3 was okay.
3 was okay. Right. And that basically means it was if password less than,
Yeah.
and the only number they could think of was 3.
Yeah. And some of them they found where you could type in 50 characters, but only the first 8 were used.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so you think you're typing a good long password in and it just truncates it?
Yep.
Or when it says password already in use, pick another one. That means the other end already knows everybody's passwords.
Yep.
That's not good password security on their end.
Right.
It's got to be salted and hashed, so that way when it does leak, it's hard to get to.
Right. And remember, there are a lot of password managers, most of them pretty easy to use. One of the reasons we like NPass is that the password database is encrypted on your computer based on the password you use to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So picking a decently long password, and you know what? It can be letters, it can be numbers, it can be as complex as you need it to be.
And then put 20 periods after it.
And put 20 periods after.
Make it long.
But the point is, if you do that, and because one of the things NPass lets you do is publish your database of passwords, so you can put it on, say, Google's Chrome, Google's Drive, and share it among all your other devices. Well, the question is always, what happens if somebody cracks my password for Google? Well, first, get 2-factor authentication. Second, make it a long password. Third, it's already encrypted with your password. How good was your password?
Yeah.
If your password is 123, it's crappy security.
No shit.
Yeah. We run into this all the time when someone buys a new computer and they don't know their passwords and don't have them written down anywhere. If we can get into their email, it's game over. And my boss was saying it's amazing how easy we can break into people's stuff. So they don't remember their Amazon password. I go to Amazon and say, forgot password. And it emails us.
Yep.
Well, I'm in your email, so I can reset your Amazon password. I can reset your bank password because I'm in your email.
Right.
Yep.
So your email password is probably the most important password you have and should be the most longest and secure so that someone else can't get into it.
Right. And of course, one of the problems people complain about is that they're not typists. I'm not a typist. You know what? Then get hacked. I guess I don't care.
And if you use a password manager, it types it in for you.
That's
Well, that's
exactly
the
right.
other thing with the NPass. Only because for my bank, they finally upgraded it so you could put it in nice long passwords.
Right.
So I've gotten into the habit every 6 months. Granted, it hasn't been cracked, but I go ahead and change my password for my banking account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to think about it. I just go over to NPass and say, okay, generate me a new password. And I can make it, a couple characters longer or shorter. Doesn't matter. It's different. That's all I care about. Paste it in, and then I go over to my bank and say, all right, let's change the password. And I change it.
Right.
So it's always, I don't worry about my, and I get these emails, well, your bank account's been broken into or this. No, it hasn't.
Right.
No way.
Right. Well, that leads us again to that other question, which is people panic when they get those emails. Well, what you do is you go to your bank, not by clicking on any links in the email, but by having already bookmarked your bank site. Go to your bank and look. If there was a problem, there would be a notice there.
Yeah.
Trust me, they're not shy about that.
And most of the time, the bad guys are pretty lazy. You can look at who the message says it's from.
Right.
And almost none of the time does it say it's from your bank. It'll say from Joe or something.
Right. Somebody at Gmail.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My bank doesn't use Gmail.
And if they do, get a new bank.
Get a new bank.
Well, the back end probably.
Right. The back
Yeah.
end probably is, but it's
Yeah.
an address at the bank.
A Gmail address is not your bank. An iCloud address is not your bank.
Right.
Or McAfee or Norton trying to talk you,
Right.
warning you that your subscription has expired and you're vulnerable and you better click this link and buy a new subscription.
Yeah. I got one the other day. My hosting service. I have auto renew on all of my domains, but I always check.
Yeah.
I get a notice that a domain has renewed. I go look. It takes 10 seconds.
Well, for a long time there was a it's not as popular anymore, but there was a fake domain renewal campaign.
Well, and that's what I got.
Yeah, you get an email address from someone. Your domain's about to expire. Click here, and some of them were legitimate. Well, they were real fakes where they would take over your domain,
Right.
but still renew it.
Right.
But most of them are fake fakes where they just steal your money and don't renew it.
Right. Exactly. But in this case, I literally had just done the renewal, went back to my mail, and there was your domain has expired.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it hasn't. All right, to the phones. Our first caller is Ed from Henrietta, New York. Hi, Ed. What's up?
Yeah, it's funny about NPass. I was going to call you guys anyway. I got a new A14 phone from Samsung, so I had everything ported over, and I went to use it the other day to check on a password, and I hit the icon for NPass, and it came up like I was a new customer.
Yep. The first time you log into any phone, I just did it on this computer. I had installed NPass, and it doesn't know who I am. So I have to tell it who I am that first time. And then it says, oh, this is who you are and where you store your data, and the password is correct and the username is correct. You're good.
How do you do that? Because I put in my email, and it said, we already have somebody sort of subscribe. That's me, but I can't tell.
You clicked on the new button instead of the login I already have an account button.
Right. There are two buttons there.
Oh, I didn't see that. It just...
Yeah, the
When
new
you
button
open it
is
up,
big, and the I already have an account button is small. I don't know why they do it in that order, but they do.
So when you click on the icon, that's what comes in the window? I didn't see that. It was just like, welcome to NPass, what's your blah, blah, blah,
Right.
Like they didn't even know who I was. Okay,
No,
so
yeah.
Well, it won't know who you are on a new phone, but there'll be a section to create a new account, or under that somewhere there's probably already subscriber. Click here to log in.
Right, and it's probably not a button. It's probably just text.
I see. Okay, I'll check with that. It must be hidden away.
Yeah, it's
small
not
print.
it's not as obvious. They want new members.
So then that'll port over the contents of the file, and they'll just move over like everything else. Then, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Once you've proved you're you, all that stuff will populate on your phone.
In fact, it should say, "Oh, you already have an account. I'll let you log in now," and take you to the login page itself.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give
Backseat
it a shot.
programming.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll try.
All right. Thanks.
In fact, I just have my email open here. I'm checking to log in on something, and I got a message from Peacock that my membership has expired. And there's a nice button here where I can click to extend my membership for free.
For free.
Except it came from somebody named Geraldine Barra at iCloud.
Geraldine.
Nice. And it's going to go to dynip.org.
Sure.
WINTGINGDSD.dynip.org. So someone's got a dynamic IP service they're using. And
Yep.
so, yeah, shoot, my Peacock has expired. I better click this button to renew it.
And particularly since it's free.
Yeah.
One thing I've got to put in a plug for, because I've been
The drain.
hooked on this. No, it's YouTube videos, and they're called Scammer Payback.
Oh yeah. Is
These
that the one
guys.
with the lady?
No, this is a guy, and he works with the FBI. So, folks, if you want to see the scams that they're pulling, check out some of these YouTubes. This guy has formed a business, and evidently other folks are now, gravitating, getting on board with this, and they are busting these scammers. And they have stopped literally thousands of dollars to that would have gone over back to India, Because what they're doing is they sit there and they get these unwittingly people on their computers and think that they transferred money and it's just, so they got to put it in this box and they send it to a local address here in the U.S. And the guy has the FBI go to this place in the U.S. and bust them so the money never makes it back over to India. So it is a big scam. They were saying just in 6 months, they stopped close to $1.5 million.
Nice.
From going and people being ripped off.
The one I saw was a lady who does different voices. I don't know if she's a voice
Oh,
actress
yeah,
or
I've
whatever.
seen her too.
But she goes with them for a while, and they say, and she gets to the point where it says, "Can you give us the card number?" And she goes, "Yes." 3, 2, 1, and we're back. We're on the air and live with a scammer. And the FBI is tracking him even as we speak. Let's ask this guy his name. Where are you calling from, sir? Click.
Yeah.
Well, this guy has reversed it that he can get into their computers and see them on screen.
Oh, I've seen that guy. Yeah, I have.
And he's talking to this one girl, and she goes, "No, you can't see us." He goes, "Well, then you want to just tell that girl that's sitting right next to you in the blue top to stop slapping you on the arm." And all of a sudden, this panic look, and then boop, the screen goes black.
Yep. It is very easy to get into people's computers, to take over people's computers once you get into them. And the way they get into them is when you say, "Sure, I'll run this Teams thing or this whatever thing that you tell me to run because you're from Google or you're from Microsoft
Yep.
or you're from Apple and you're going to help me fix my computer," which wasn't having a problem, by the way. So, yeah, be very aware that nobody, we say this all the time and it's still true.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody from any of those companies is ever going to call you directly. You may, in fact, once in a while get an email from them about selling you something, not giving you something or helping you with something, selling you something. If it's not a sales pitch, that's not them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of companies have kind of stopped emailing you with warnings. It looks like you're a suspicious account, contact, because they can't. It's so hard for an average user to understand a real message from a fake message. So the good guys have stopped sending real messages because it just gets inundated from all the bad messages.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here's a good one. Chris Horn, the great Chris Horn, who maybe Chris Horn, maybe he's Chris Horn.
Yeah.
Said a big benefit. We're in the chat here. A big benefit for my family is getting the grandparents on a family iPassword plan.
Yeah.
So in the event of a crisis, we can get in and pay bills, etc. My entire family has access to my NPass.
Yep.
So if, God forbid, something happens, my wife and my daughter can get into all my accounts, including my banks and everything else, so that there's a continuity plan in place.
Many systems, Apple, Google, Microsoft, have a legacy account set up.
Right. I've done that for Google as well.
Yep. You can set up a legacy person to access. We had 3 customers in the last week who had an unexpected death in their family, and I need to get into the stuff. We can't. You need their password, or you try to I forgot, and you need their security questions.
Right. And that's the other thing. Most password managers, like NPass, has a text field. Put in the questions and put in the answers and make the answers fake.
Yeah.
All right. That interesting music tells us that it's time for us to take a little break. But of course, you can still give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299, toll-free 800-790-0415. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. 29 minutes after the hour, Sound Bytes, member-supported, Jazz 90.1.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbytes.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Dina Kodiak. Diplomatic efforts are underway to free the remaining hostages held by Hamas as the war between Israel and Hamas rages on in Gaza. CIA Director William Burns will meet with officials from Israel and Qatar this weekend in Europe to try and secure their release. This comes as the main hospital in the city of Han Yunis in the southern part of the region has reportedly run out of food and anesthesia. The White House is standing by Israel after the International Court of Justice ruled that the death toll in Gaza must be contained. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters the court's ruling is in line with the administration's position that Israel must minimize civilian casualties in its war with Hamas. Kirby added there's no evidence at this time Israel has committed genocide. Former President Trump is back on the campaign trail. Trump will speak at a rally in Las Vegas today ahead of the February Nevada primary and caucus. The former president had spent Friday in a New York City courtroom where a jury awarded E. Jean Carroll $83 million in Trump's civil damages trial. Dina Kodiak, NBC News Radio.
Lovey, give us a kiss then. This is Sanford Singlow with the Lowdown on Science. Kissing can be a beautiful expression of love, but kissing also has an uglier side, spreading disease. So what can kissing tell us about epidemiology? Enter Trolls Arbel and Sophie Rasmussen. They looked throughout history to see where swapping spit and germs began. Prior research suggests that kissing was widely introduced in the Bronze Age, accelerating disease transmission. But Arbel and Rasmussen disagree. They show that accounts of kissing appear hundreds of years earlier and in many cultures. This implies that kissing did not spread from one culture to another. Instead, it's a universal practice, possibly older than humanity itself. However, kissing practices vary between cultures, likely affecting disease transmission. For instance, a mouthier society may have spread disease more quickly than a conservative one. Fully exploring this research will require experts from many fields pairing up. Just pop 'em in first, love.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communication and LAist, and made possible with the generous support of the Fuse Family Foundation.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by our members and by the Fine Arts Series at SUNY Brockport. Primetime Brass will mix the second-line sounds of Mardi Gras in New Orleans with favorite Beatles and Sinatra tunes at SUNY Brockport on Friday, February 2nd at 7:30 p.m. For more information and tickets, you may visit fineartstix.brockport.edu.
Hi, I'm Alan Kepler, and I want to invite you to check out our new music show, Smooth Jazz Weekend. Every week, we get brand new tunes in the world of smooth jazz, and we love sharing them with you. This time around, I've got a new track from Huge Groove to share. Also, our pick of the week, new music from Carol Albert. Lots of great tunes, and we'll share them with you this weekend on Smooth Jazz Weekend.
Smooth Jazz Weekend, Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on Jazz 90.1 and at 6 p.m. on Jazz 90.1 Smooth Grooves Radio.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Maybe you're not sure how you'll make rent, or you lost your job. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light. Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need.
211, how can I help you?
Call or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected. Get help. A message from United Way and the Ad Council.
And now, your Jazz 90.1 weather.
Cloudy today with just a touch of drizzle or very light snow in spots as any fog dissipates, the high 40. Cloudy tonight, low 31. Cloudy tomorrow with wet snow mixed with rain near the lake. Snow accumulations tomorrow through tomorrow night. Limited, very little near the lakeshore, but several inches could accumulate over higher elevations south of the thruway through tomorrow evening. The high tomorrow, 35. I'm meteorologist Kevin Williams on Jazz 90.1.
And currently, right now, we've got cloudy skies out there. It's 41 degrees out at the airport and 43 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Rick Petrie. Please join me tonight for North Star Sounds from 9 to midnight on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 35 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes.
And that's going to get us a YouTube takedown notice.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fred points out in the chat that I have family as co-signer for my bank account as well as my MPass on their devices. And that's absolutely correct thing to do, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that we really need to prepare for the inevitable. And one way you do that is to get family on as co-signers for your bank accounts, and you on theirs. Everybody should be co-signers on everybody else's accounts so that they can get into them if they need to. And share your password database around with people by putting whatever password manager you have. In my case, like I said, it's NPass, on their machines and then giving them the NPass password. And if you change the NPass password, give them the new one.
There's been some interesting cases recently. The law hasn't quite kept up
right.
with digital ownership. So currently you cannot inherit digital things.
Right.
So you have a spouse that passes, you try to claim their digital assets, you have no legal right to them. But if you have their password, then you can access them.
Right, that's exactly right, and that's the way it works.
That's the key to the vault.
And prep. Nobody likes to prepare for these things. I get that. Believe me, I get that.
The only sad thing true about it is it's going to happen.
It's going to happen at some point, maybe to you, not to me. But
okay.
But that's the attitude most people have. I got plenty of time to do this. Yeah. No, you really don't.
So courts are slowly changing to so that digital goods are inheritable, but it varies by jurisdiction.
Yep. Okay. Oh, this is long, but it's my favorite one this week. We've talked about this before, but finally an HP CEO said it out loud. Printers are one of the banes of modern society and computing, expensive and frustrating relics that are nonetheless occasionally necessary. Over the past, because the paperless desktop has not happened. Over the past few years, HP seems to be doing its best to make them even more expensive and frustrating by milking the infamously exploitive ink market until both the literal and metaphorical cartridge runs dry. After enraging customers by blocking third-party ink and bricking printers with dodgy firmware, HP CEO recently said the quiet part out loud. In an interview with CNBC last week during the World Economic Forum in Davos, HP CEO Enrique Lores gave a few choice quotes. In response to a recent lawsuit over HP software updates that block ink cartridges from non-PC sources, he started by saying, "I think for us it's important to protect our IP," which is intellectual property. "There is a lot of IP that we build in the inks of the printheads, in the printheads itself, in the printers, and what we're doing is when we identify cartridges that are violating our IP, we stop the printer from work." Please note that English is not Mr. Lorry's first language. So they're ripoffs, they're counterfeits, and you're going to break the printer as a result, asked CNBC Squawk Box host Rebecca Quick. "In many cases, it could be," said Lores. "It can create all sorts of issues from the printer stop working because the inks have not been designed to work on our printers to even create security issues. We have seen that you can embed viruses in the cartridge, through the cartridge to the printer, from the printer to the network, so it can create many more problems." And this claim is not entirely accurate, by the way. While, yes, it is technically possible to embed malware, if not a classic computer virus, in a printer cartridge, the attack is limited to the printer itself, and there's no evidence that it can pose a risk to any further computers or the network itself.
But when the printer firmware gets infected, then yes, that does affect everybody
That's different from infecting the cartridge.
Yeah.
Security experts find it unlikely that any malefactor with fewer resources than a nation-state actor would actually be able to exploit this vulnerability, making the risk to everyday users and small businesses vanishingly small so far. At the risk of being reductive, it seems a lot like HP has invented a problem and then supplied the solution, which just happens to include locking out third-party ink suppliers and locking customers into massively overpriced ink. Then in the interview, the HP CEO said the quiet part out loud. Our view is that we need to make printing as easy as possible. And our long-term objective is to make printing a subscription. This is really what we have been driving. We know it reduces the barriers to print. It offers a much more convenient solution to customers, and especially is more sustainable because every time a customer uses a cartridge, we take it back, we recycle, we use it again. As distasteful as Laura's comments might sound, it's nothing new. HP has been attempting to get customers to subscribe to ink and toner cartridges for years via their Instant Ink program, and they're not the only one. Laura's attitude is a bit chilling. Every time a customer buys a printer, it's an investment for us, he says. And if this customer doesn't print enough or doesn't use our supplies, it's a bad investment. He went on to say that he wants the subscription model to extend further, not only for printers, but for PCs and for the rest of the products we build. The fact is, you are an investment, a product, not a customer. Happy to be a product?
Yep.
Give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Toll free 800-790-0415.
We've already seen printers, personally I've seen HP and Canon, that will not work without an internet connection or an ink subscription.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Well, that's one of the reasons I moved to Brother Printers.
Yeah.
So far, at least.
Yep.
So far. And of course, inkjet printers are much, 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 much more expensive than laser printers in the long run. The day you buy them, they're cheaper, but the ink is like $6,000 a gallon, and you think you're paying a lot for gas?
Yeah.
No.
Well, and so some companies, Epson has their EcoTank brand.
Yeah.
It has bigger tanks, so the cost per print is lower until it dries out the print head because you don't print enough.
Right.
We don't print much anymore.
Right.
So it doesn't help that you've got inexpensive ink if it dries out and you got to replace the print head.
And that doesn't happen with a laser.
Yeah.
So you can have the same laser for years and print once a month.
Now, if you are printing photos, then liquid ink is the best for photos.
Right.
But you have to print enough of them that your
that it matters.
heads don't wear out. So what I did.
Well, actually, dye sublimation.
Dye sub, yeah. I got a Kodak dye sub printer. It does 4x5 prints because that's what you want for your snapshots.
Sure.
And they look gorgeous. It actually has it's RGB, and then it puts a gloss coat down on it.
Oh, nice.
And it was like $150 with 200 print
Ream of paper?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
It's individual. And the ribbon. So it uses a ribbon of dye. So it looks like the old ribbon ink printers.
Very cool.
And it's Bluetooth, it's Wi-Fi, or you can dock your phone onto it and print whatever you want. It's
really,
gorgeous.
Really nice. Our Chandra says, I don't get the fascination of using ink for photos. Color laser printers are fine for me. And for most people, they are.
Well, the $200 color laser printers don't do that good with photos.
Right.
You got to use special photo paper, specialer paper than inkjet photo paper. But you got to get into the $1,000 laser printer to get a magazine quality photos.
Right.
Snapshots are fine with the regular laser printers. Your mic isn't on.
Yeah, that's one thing I still have from 1995 is my old HP LaserJet 4000 TN. It's a network printer, and that is a workhorse because we had it from the business. And once, we closed down the business, I just moved it on upstairs, and I've been using that, and it does a great job.
Sure it does. And if you're not printing pictures and you're not printing, 7,000 pages a day, any laser printer will do the job just very nicely, thank you. And most people don't print in color anyway.
Yeah.
So an inexpensive black and white laser printer, and nowadays for a ludicrously low amount of money, you can get them to do copying and faxing if anybody's still got a landline.
Mine, I've got it set up So if I want to print off, say, a manual, it'll sit there and do double-sided. So instead of, having a 40-page manual be 40 pages, no, it's half of that, 20.
Right. So those are important considerations when you're buying your next printer. Don't just reflexively buy an inkjet because it's cheap to buy, because it's penny wise and pound foolish. Back to the phones. Our next caller is Josh from Fairport, New York. What's up, Josh?
Hey guys, just had two things. First thing, I have an HP printer and I've had it for a while, and it's an absolute piece of garbage. Second, well, still the first thing, the part you were talking about with the ink cartridges and how it doesn't allow for the third party, I found that so frustrating. And one time, my wife ordered some cartridges off of wherever, and what I ended up doing was I took this little plunger that we had, like almost like a hypodermic, but without the needle.
Sure.
And I sucked the ink out of the third-party cartridges, and I slowly and carefully pumped it into the the original cartridges, and gave it a little wipe down, stuck it in there.
That worked for a while, and then printer companies got onto that, and they put a chip in the cartridge. So when the ink cartridge thinks it's empty, and even if you put more ink in it, it thinks it's empty.
Oh, that's so criminal. Oh, so gross.
Yeah, I use a Brother laser printer, inexpensive one, and I use third-party cartridges, and I have not had a day of problem in, 6 years, 8 years.
Oh, that sounds good. Because I'm going to need a new printer, because we've been trying to print color, just pictures, little basic pictures, and all the colors are just completely wrong. I don't know why or how, but we've been buying the original cartridges for it recently.
You may have to clean the print heads, which is a feature, which uses ink.
Uses up your ink.
Yep.
We've done all that. Everything is coming out kind of pink. But anyway.
Well, the other thing is that print heads
wear out.
Wear out.
Yeah.
The inkjet print heads wear out.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it might just be time.
Be bleeding color.
Yeah.
It's bleeding color because it's getting so worn.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last thing was you were talking about the scamming the scammers or busting the scammers.
Yep.
There's a series of videos on YouTube by a guy named Mark Rober. He's an engineer in San Jose.
Oh yeah.
He's great. He makes these devices that you put inside of a cardboard box, because there's a real big problem out there with people
Porch
stealing.
pirates.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And so I just love watching his videos.
Yeah, he's graduated to glitter.
Yeah,
glitter bombs.
Glitter bombs.
Glitter bombs, yeah.
And they also have an aroma.
An aroma bomb. Yeah.
I love the one he had that had little micro quads in it that came out of the box, flew up in the air to spread the glitter and smell farther in the room.
Farther. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's good work. That's the Lord's work right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, there you go.
And one of the videos, one of the scammers was, "Oh my God, it's that stupid YouTuber trying to scam us."
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I love it. Well, hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate everything you do.
Yep.
Thanks, Josh. Keep listening.
Yep, will do.
And tell all your friends and all your enemies. I don't know you. Maybe you have more.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a man. You can spend so much time on YouTube.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. He's talking about a rabbit hole.
Oh, is he the one that did the Squirrel Olympics? He put all the obstacle.
Oh, he might be. Yeah.
Put all the obstacle course up, and the squirrel learned it in a week.
Yep.
There was one I saw where they started with like 5 different kinds of nuts, sort of out in the open, to see which one the squirrels liked best. So they knew what incentive to put at the end of each bit of the obstacle course. And it's crazy. They had to climb into a car and run down a track to get from one point to another point, and they did it. That's just crazy.
Well, you know what? They're smarter than we think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Jim from Irondequoit. What's up, Jim?
Well, I'm trying to download a video from my phone to my laptop, and what I've done is I've sent it to my email, and then I get something, and then when I click the icon on the lower left, something's happening, but I don't know where it's going. It says download messages, but I can't find it anywhere.
Should be in your downloads folder.
Well,
But
it isn't. That's
how big
the
of
problem.
how big of a video file is it?
No, it's actually really small because I just did a 3-second one just to test it, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Because email isn't really meant for files. You're typically limited to about 5 megabytes of file size.
Okay.
The better way to do it, if it's your own phone and your own computer, is plug the phone into the computer usually with the charging cable.
Okay.
And then the phone shows up as a hard drive on the computer, and you can just drag the files.
Okay, but the interesting thing is the fact that on the right side that little bar, like it's doing something.
Sometimes you can right click it and say download as or download to, and then pick the folder you want to put it in.
It may just also be slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's your email provider?
Spectrum.
Okay. Okay. So it may just simply be slow. It may also be that it just might be slow.
And are you using the web browser to log into the mail, or are you using a program like Thunderbird?
Yeah, Thunderbird.
That should put it in the downloads folder.
Should put it in the downloads folder.
Well, check your Thunderbird preferences, and see what the preferences set.
I mean, my download folder works for every other application I've ever used. That's why I'm surprised I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
How long did you wait?
Well, the one that I just did, my 3-second video, it comes up in my Thunderbird file real quick.
But when you go to save it,
well,
have you looked in your videos folder or your?
Yeah, does it know what kind it is?
Yeah, it might be saving it in the video folder because it knows it's a video.
Okay. Well, I'll look around. But the reason I called is because I thought it was obvious that it should be in the download folder, but it wasn't.
Right.
So
you're right. I agree with you. It should be, but it might be that yours is set up to save videos in the video folder.
Okay. Well, I'll go look for it.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right. Good luck, Jim.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, we find that one of the things computers were never originally meant to do is send files to each other. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
Well, email was for text, and FTP was for files.
Exactly
it's
right.
It's the file transfer protocol.
Right, and I misspoke. It isn't that computers weren't designed to send files. It's that most of the programs used were not designed to send files.
No, you got it all wrong. Computers were never going to catch on.
That's true. They were just they were for academia.
Mm-hmm.
One of the very when the original committees were meeting to talk about expanding the internet from a few of the academic institutions and the government institutions they were part of to the rest of you rabble. One of the people brought a shirt to our committee that said, "The internet is full. Go away."
Yeah.
I wish I still had that shirt. I so wish I still had that shirt.
In the early days, I forget, was it in Stephen Levy's book? In the early days of microcomputers, Apple II and IBM never wanted to do a computer.
Right.
Because everyone already had mainframes in their basement. What do you need a personal computer for?
Right.
The irony was, 50 years earlier, Tom Watson Sr., IBM made punch card readers for the very few computers there were. And so IBM then said, who's going to need a mainframe computer? The Census Bureau might need a couple. Maybe the IRS might need a couple. So IBM never made computers.
Right.
And then 50 years later, they made the same mistake and never made a personal computer. Put so little effort into it. It was the Boca Raton Skunk Works was like 9 months from start to finish.
Rat's Mouth, Florida. Come on.
They bought off-the-shelf components. They went to a college dropout in Seattle, Washington, who said he had an operating system. They didn't put any effort into building it, and came out with a PC The only reason the IBM PC caught on was because IBM had mainframes, and other salespeople said, "Oh, you got an IBM mainframe in the basement? You might as well put IBM PCs on your desk."
Right.
And then Bill Gates had a non-exclusive license
right.
for the OS he didn't own yet, but bought really cheap.
Yeah.
And so then he could go to K-Pro and say, "Hey, you want to make a PC clone?" And so people
they could
Yep.
because IBM didn't think it was going to go anywhere. They didn't use proprietary
Yep.
components. They used whatever was off the shelf, which meant so could anybody else.
Yeah. Yep. And so people bought cheaper PC clones at home so they could steal the software from work.
Right.
In many cases, and that's why so the PCs are good enough. Because that was a big argument with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, that the Mac is better, but the PCs were good enough.
Well, and that's right. It depends on what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
So back in the day, as you well know, artists, layout people like that needed Macs because they really did that job. But there were years and years and years of people who were used to PCs and didn't see a need to change. And B, if you weren't doing layout or art stuff, all you were doing was typing reports.
We
a
even
CPM computer did that. You didn't even need a PC. But if you had a PC, you certainly didn't need a Mac.
We even used to say, don't waste a Mac doing spreadsheets.
Right.
Even though the Apple II was founded on VisiCalc and spreadsheets. But and it was the IBM went to Bill Gates because the apocryphal story of Gary Kildall was flying his airplane. So he wasn't, because he wrote CPM, and so they couldn't get that. And I'm trying to remember what book that was in. It wasn't the Stephen Levy Hackers book. That's earlier than that. That's the Homebrew Computer Club and DEC.
Right.
It wasn't Pirates of Silicon Valley. That was the Macintosh. There was another book that talked about the beginnings of the PC and a lot of those stories.
You can still, by the way, download VisiCalc.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. From a couple of places. WinWorld PC and Abandonware DOS and a couple of other places. They run on DOS or in a DOS emulator.
Oh, and the archive.org has it to run in a browser.
Right. So you can run it there if you're feeling particularly nostalgic. Yep, and those are some. So I tell you what, I sold more Apple IIs with VisiCalc.
Yeah.
I learned more about spreadsheets and accounting than I ever wanted to know.
Yeah. People
would come in and say, "I want the spreadsheet computer."
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Right this way. Thank you. And people bought them. And they were told, we can't buy a computer, but we can buy the spreadsheet device or whatever they called it at the time. And they could get it passed on that strength just by saying it was the spreadsheet device, the spreadsheet creator, spreadsheet calculator. I forget what they called it.
Yeah.
Everybody had a different name, but it was the spreadsheet something, and people could get it past the accountants by saying they needed it for justify it as a spreadsheet device, not a computer. So we sold an awful lot of those, and they were quite useful. People would stare. They would sit there and stare at a computer doing addition down a row.
Yep. It was just amazing.
And that's all they needed to see. I have to have 5 of these today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Let me lead you over to the counter. All right, that music tells us the first hour of this show is now history. But those of you who are planning to time travel into the future, stick around because there's a whole nother hour of the longest running computer show coming your way. That's another hour of Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It is 59 minutes after the hour. You are listening to the longest running computer show in the known universe. That would be Soundbites, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. See you on the other side.
It's America's longest-running computer show. Back to more Sound Bites with Nick, Dave, and Steve. Next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester. A public service of the Greece Central School District. Jazz 90.1.
Celebrating 50 years on the air in Rochester.
NBC News Radio, I'm Dina Kodiak. Diplomatic efforts are underway to free the remaining hostages held by Hamas as the war between Israel and Hamas rages on in Gaza. CIA Director William Burns will meet with officials from Israel and Qatar this weekend in Europe to try and secure their release. This comes as the main hospital in the city of Han Yunis in the southern part of the region has reportedly run out of food and anesthesia. The White House is standing by Israel after the International Court of Justice ruled that the death toll in Gaza must be contained. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters the court's ruling is in line with the administration's position that Israel must minimize civilian casualties in its war with Hamas. Kirby added there's no evidence at this time Israel has committed genocide. Former President Trump is back on the campaign trail. Trump will speak at a rally in Las Vegas today ahead of the February Nevada primary and caucus. The former president had spent Friday in a New York City courtroom where a jury awarded E. Jean Carroll $83 million in Trump's civil damages trial. Dina Kodiak, NBC News Radio.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by Summit Responsible Solutions, a manufacturer of organic, all-natural insect pest control products, including Summit Sticky Traps. Sticky traps can be used to manage pests on indoor plants and do not contain pesticides. Sticky traps are available at local and national garden centers and hardware stores. Information on how to control insect pests can be found at summitresponsibleSolutions.com.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by our members and by the Great Courses How to Grow Anything DVD series hosted by Melinda Myers. The Great Courses How to Grow Anything series consists of 4 DVD courses that provide gardening tips and information on food gardening, landscape design and care, container gardening, flower, tree, and shrub care, and more. More information is available at melindamyers.com. That's melindamyers.com.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
New York City invites you to savor its finest offerings in dining, Broadway shows, hotels, and attractions as NYC Winter Outing takes center stage from January 16th to February 4th. During NYC Broadway Week, enjoy the best of Broadway with 2-for-1 tickets to some of the biggest hits, from new takes on established classics to star-studded modern masterpieces. Elevate your culinary journey during NYC Restaurant Week with prix-fixe meals at hundreds of restaurants across the city. Enjoy 2-for-1 tickets to must-see attractions, tours, and museums during NYC Must-See Week. And unwind in style and luxury at some of the city's most celebrated hotels with exclusive discounts during NYC Hotel Week. To learn more about NYC Winter Outing, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. It's easy to love New York.
Imani wouldn't be here if it wasn't for St. Jude. Everything was perfect until that day when she was 5 weeks old.
So there was a fairly large and aggressive brain tumor, but St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us the ultimate gift in this world, which was hope restored.
And she's tumor-free now.
We came as 2 desperate parents, and they saved our daughter's life.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
At Shriners Hospitals for Children, there are a million reasons to share love. My buddy Caleb is one of them. This is his story.
Hi, I'm Caleb. I was born with brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me.
There are a million reasons to share love, but you only need one. To learn how you can share love, visit loveshriners.org.
Did you know that heart transplants don't last a lifetime and the average is 17 years? 1 in 4 children face a chance of needing another within 5 years. Enduring Hearts is the only nonprofit dedicated to funding research that helps kids with heart transplants live longer, healthier lives. Enduring Hearts has funded research from the leading institutions across North America, and we will not give up. Please join our mission to save lives and consider donating today. Visit enduringhearts.org.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbytes.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 5 minutes after the hour, shockingly, we're hurtling headlong into the second hour of the longest running computer show in the known universe.
You know you have a red light there.
Apparently, we're doing the second hour of this show.
Amazing.
Who knew? Who knew? Well, Walter from Greece knew, and he's on the line with us. Hi, Walter. What's up?
Good afternoon to everybody there.
Good afternoon.
Well, I've been playing with Ubuntu and Xubuntu on distro C, and I came up. I need some help for answers regarding the use of Ubuntu and Ubuntu Pro. Now,
Okay.
Are you familiar with Ubuntu Pro?
I am.
Okay, excellent. Okay, from what I've got 4 questions, and hopefully they're going to be easy one. Now, am I seeing that Ubuntu Pro works only on Ubuntu LTS, the long-term service? Does that mean it does not work with Xubuntu or Kubuntu LTS?
It does work with. I know it works with Xubuntu because I'm using it.
Okay.
So yes, it does. It does indeed work with any version of Ubuntu.
Oh.
Remember, Ubuntu is the underneath layer.
Right.
XFCE or GNOME or KDE are just front ends that sit on top of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu Pro deals with the underlying operating system and doesn't care which front end you're using.
Okay, great. Well, that kills question number 2, because I had about installing XFCE4 instead of the Xubuntu desktop.
Yeah, you can do that on any version of Linux. You can install whatever front end you want. Everyone does it a little differently, and getting it activated may be a little different on every platform. But yeah, you can install. You can in fact have 5 of them installed, 10 of them installed, and just pick the one you want to play with today.
Okay, very good. Question number 3, then, moving on to with Ubuntu, can you leapfrog from one LTS to another? What I'm talking about is like going from 18.04 to 22.04 without upgrading to 20.04 first?
That I do not know, and I apologize.
Okay.
I believe when you hit Ubuntu Pro, the first thing it does is update you to the latest.
Oh, it does. Okay.
I think so, because it did for me. Now, whether it was just time or whatever, but you can be on whichever. Well, of course it's Linux, so I guess you can probably decide to be on whatever version you want to be on, and just tell it I want to be here. But I may have said yes. It was during a hazy time in my life, and apparently I don't remember which I chose specifically, whether I chose it specifically or it just happened itself. But I know that you can pick whatever version you like.
Yeah, the basis for my question there is that if I wanted to start out with, say, 22.04, and I understand Ubuntu Pro gives me 10 years of security, even another 25,000 programs beyond which comes with Ubuntu, that something else you could install, that it's going to be providing that service. But let's just say the kernel changes. I have some equipment that says it wants to work with kernel 5.19 and I'm using 4.10.
Right.
So I've got to upgrade then. I was just wondering, that could be several versions into the future or, beyond from what I'm using. So I was wondering if I could just jump from one right to the other without having to go through the intermediary long-term program.
Like I said, I can't answer that because on one of my devices, I am still on an older version. And my other device, I upgraded, but it was one version. So I can't answer that question directly.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Last question then. I have a Canon scanner, and I had to install a Linux driver, ScanGear MP2. and it appears in the Synaptic Package Manager for what I'm already running. Now, when I'm moving to another LTS, do you know if that Linux driver will still be in Synaptic, or must I reinstall the driver into the newer version?
It depends on Canon.
Ah,
Well, it depends on whoever wrote that driver.
okay.
The likelihood is that it will still be there.
Okay.
The extreme likelihood is that it will still be there. But no one can promise that except the person who created the driver. You should be able to look up what packages are in the latest version of your OS online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not seen it. For what I'm running MX, and I don't see it. ScanGear MP2 on there. It's just I had to obtain it from Canon, install it in order to have the scanner run. So
okay.
So I was just wondering if it just kind of kept that if I upgraded. But it sounds, from my experience with MX, it probably won't. I'll have to do a fresh reinstall a fresh install of the driver in order if I move up in the world into a newer LTS.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a package search feature in Ubuntu. Excuse me, at ubuntu.com.
Right.
Packages.ubuntu.com/
Okay.
Hold on. So you're probably looking for Lunar. I think Lunar is 20.04. No, Focal is 20.04. Lunar is 23.04.
Okay.
Mantic is 23.10. So if you're looking for things in 23.10 or 22.04 long-term support,
that's where I'm going.
Okay, that's jammy.
Yeah.
So if you look in
the Jammy Dodger,
it's the Jammy Dodger. So if you look in there, you should be able to see a list of the packages. So for example, if you went to packages.ubuntu.com/jammy/lunar.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm looking specifically for the package Lunar. Hold on.
in there somewhere.
Yeah, here we go. You should be able to look through various packages. Yeah, just stop at Jammy, packages.ubuntu.com/jammy. And you have a list of the administrative utilities and the communications programs, the interpreters, et cetera, et cetera. So somewhere in there will be the printing utilities. I don't know if that would be under drivers or base stuff. There's also an all packages thing. I suppose you could just look there, and you'd be able to find what you need.
Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm very interested in it because it would save me a lot of moving up from one long-term service. Well, I'm using MX. I'm going to have to change right now, by this June. It means a fresh install. I figured, well, if Ubuntu is giving me 10 years of support, just like Google is doing with the Chromebooks, it's
right.
Like, why not go with that? It means that much less worry I have, and as long as I'm satisfied with the basic operating system, why not stay with it for 10 years as long as Ubuntu is willing to maintain the security of it?
Exactly right.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, it's nice. It's easy. It's fast. Most of the updates happen behind my back. I don't even bother to see them. It's great.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for all the answers. Appreciate it.
All right. Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, and although it's called Ubuntu Pro, it's free for up to 5 computers. So those of you who are interested in it, I've got it on my desktop and on one of my laptops, and I'm done. I'm done. It's easy, and you can register and unregister computers. So if I change my desktop or I lose a laptop or whatever, I can unregister that one and have that space free again. So pretty nice stuff all the way around for that. All right.
There's a couple people who have been reporting there's a weird echo in the Jazz 90.1 app.
Really?
A very low in the background echo of, I can't quite tell if it's our show or some other show.
Oh, interesting.
It's not on the YouTube stream. So it's after the discriminator board here.
Right. Right. Well, it's very discriminating. That's
Yeah.
why. All right. Well, we apologize for
Thinking
that for those who are listening.
Is there a second audio stream open on the streaming computer?
Oh, two streams open simultaneously.
Maybe.
Interesting thought. I'm not over there, so I don't know.
It's most noticeable when you have when we stop talking and you can hear the background.
And they're actually hearing something? Huh. Well, I'm afraid in real time I can't get there at this point. But let's get back to the phones. Our next caller is Tom from Brighton, New York. What's up, Tom?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So recently I've been hearing that there are some new computers that are coming out later this year will have some capability either themselves or being able to handle some AI software, either in the cloud or
right
on the computer itself. And I'm wondering what those capabilities are and whether it's worthwhile waiting to purchase, say, a PC or a Macintosh for that matter until later in the year.
Well, what? Okay, so let's start with where those rumors are probably coming from. Microsoft. Microsoft has said that the next version of Windows will be AI driven, and you will need a minimum of 16 gig of RAM and a minimum of one of the newest processors to run it. And what, of course, when you say 16 gig of RAM is a minimum from Windows, what it really means is you need 32 gig. Double whatever they tell you.
If you want to run something else besides Windows.
Right, exactly. So the new computers are going to be very expensive, certainly at first, and but very, very powerful.
And how is that going to be different than running Copilot in a browser?
Well,
or Cortana,
right?
That used to be in there already.
Gone. Now it's called Copilot.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've changed the name in Halo, but certainly it's now Copilot on Windows. And the idea is that right now you run Copilot basically through a computer, a network interface. Most of the work is being done at Microsoft servers. What the new machines will do is allow you to run Copilot locally, which also means you're going to have massive amounts of disk space in order, and most of it will be filled up with their databases. So, do you need that? It depends on what you do, and what you want to do. You know, if you're the sort of person who runs, I don't even know what software you would need right now, but certainly Word, Excel, PowerPoint are all going to have AI components in them. Whether those will be useful to you, I have no idea.
Like
Nobody really does.
An expanded grammar checker. So instead of just saying this grammar is awkward, it will recommend new grammar.
Well, or you can say, hey, Copilot, create me a spreadsheet that does X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
The problem is you've got to be able to explain that problem precisely.
And be confident that the answer is right.
Right.
That's the problem now.
You're going to have to go through it and check to see that it is in fact correct. And the same as, write me we've already seen lawyers get into trouble because AI makes up stuff. Mm-hmm. And, while if you're writing a novel, you can make up anything you want, when you're writing a brief to the Supreme Court, you really should stick with the truth.
And there was a recent article published about how bad news, like fake news site, not fake news, but fake news sites.
Right.
That they just publish any random story they can.
Right.
They're 100% automated, and in the middle of the paragraph, it'll say, as a machine learning program, I'm not able to make decisions.
Right.
In an article about who's going to be the next president.
Right.
So they're just pasting basically ChatGPT answers into a web page and calling it a news story.
Right.
But there is a way now to run ChatGPT on your local computer if you want to.
Right.
Rather than running from the web.
And when you're doing that, it's running in the cloud, obviously, and then the result is being downloaded to your computer.
Well, you can download it locally and run it only on your local computer.
But it will be slow, and the idea behind the new generation of computers is that it will be faster. Well, anytime you buy a faster processor, more RAM, and a better hard drive, you're going to get a faster computer.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. It's nothing revolutionary. It's not like you're suddenly getting a quantum desktop. It's just more cost gives you more computing power.
So what would be the advantage, though, of running that AI software in the cloud as opposed? When I say the cloud, of course, that's just another computer somewhere, who knows where.
Right. The advantage to running it locally is you don't have to be connected to the internet. So if what you really need is to have AI write your book while you're sitting on a beach, you want it to happen locally.
Okay. Well, we'll have to remember that when we're writing our next book.
That's exactly right.
And, of course, the other question is, or the problem is, at some point in the future is, as you were saying, how do you check that what it's giving you is correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You got to look up all the references. You got to read the thing and have, it's not going to save you time.
Yeah. And part of the problem, I think, is because they're calling it AI, artificial intelligence. We're thinking it's the stuff from science fiction where you ask the computer, hey, I'll open the pod bay doors. Though maybe that's a bad example.
Right.
I mean, we call it artificial intelligence. But it could very well be artificial misintelligence or artificial deception, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Don't believe that it's necessarily going to be, quote, intelligent.
I like the phrase clever regurgitator.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll take someone else's website and try to summarize it for you.
So in terms of price and whether we should pay for this new technology that comes out in the next several months, perhaps, maybe the answer is just wait a little bit longer.
Right. It's like buying a new car. Do you really need a Maserati if what you do is go to the store and buy milk?
Right.
But I can get there in 3 seconds.
Exactly. And have 4 speeding tickets while you're at it.
Yeah.
One thing people should take a look at is at asknick.com/AI tests, all lowercase, no spaces. I have been doing some Google AI chat and saving it and keeping it on the computer. And one of my favorites is the one from 23/12/31. Yes, New Year's Eve. Right in the middle of one of the answers, it switches to Chinese. Or perhaps Japanese. I do not know. And then goes back to English. And most of it is fine. But there's just suddenly right in the middle, there's an entirely other language.
It assumes you're multilingual, obviously.
Yeah.
And it assumes that both I and everyone in the world is multilingual. And apparently some are not. So
I found an article in PC World coming out of CES where a lot of this was talked about. That Intel and AMD are building AI into PCs. It doesn't matter yet, but it will.
It will in the future, yes. 10, 20, 30 years from now, maybe we will have, hey, computer, write me a book or whatever. But right now, not so much. Where it's mostly useful is for people who are doing research, because one of the things that really works nicely with AI is I'm writing an article on artificial intelligence. Give me 10 recent quotes or 10 recent articles that I can and summarize them. Right? So it can do the initial research. It's less likely to be replacing people who are, full-time lawyers, but will be replacing people who are paralegals, who do all the initial research. But you have, you're going to have, you're going to have to still vet every single thing that comes out of it, because you're not going to be able to trust it, because it makes stuff up.
Yeah.
There's a famous thing of a woman who was a well-known researcher in a specific field, and she started getting calls about an article she'd written, a thesis kind of thing, and she kept saying, "I didn't write that. You've got the wrong person." Turns out there was no person. It turns out that one AI chat brought up an absolute fictitious article by this real author, which then became canon in a whole bunch of other researchers' stuff. So, for me in particular, there is a certain usefulness in being able to say, give me 10 ideas for a blog post, or, give me 5 ideas to entertain my child on a rainy Sunday.
We're seeing it a little bit in programming too. I need a routine
Right.
that can, pull the weather from a NOAA website, and it writes code for you. Oh, I wouldn't have thought to go that way.
Sometimes, once in a while, it gives you, for example, I tried that with Python.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a Python library that doesn't exist. It says, install
Yeah.
such and so. That library is not a real library.
So where did it get that from? And so maybe there's an article somewhere where someone is writing that library.
It wrote pseudocode.
Yeah.
It said, install get the weather.
Yeah.
And then how do I use, if I did that, how would I, what would I really get? And they just went and said, oh, install get the weather. Okay.
Yeah.
Or someone was writing some code and entered a typo or something. They
Yeah.
That can happen too. Exactly.
And that was picked up by the software and then put on the website. Everyone who tries to cite this reference now is repeating the same error.
Yep. So yeah, there's. I do not believe that AI is ready for prime time yet, in most cases, and most people don't have a real use for it. Eventually, we're going to get what was Alan Kay's the device,
The Knowledge Navigator.
the Knowledge Navigator, where you essentially get Alfred or Jarvis on a computer. Hey, Jarvis, what's on my agenda today? Well, you have this, and this, but you can't do that because it's going to interfere with this, and you have to leave by 8:15. Most of that we can do now, and they don't call it artificial intelligence; they call it programming.
Or an intelligent assistant.
Right.
It's funny if you call Siri and Alexa the wrong names, they have completely different responses.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure most people are going to need an AI computer day one, unless you already have a use case for AI, or you just want to play with it and you're rich. Good for you. Knock yourself out.
And the odd thing is that most chips already have a section in the chip. The Apple calls it machine learning, which IBM is the tensor chip.
Right.
So that they're designing chips to handle these types of language models more efficiently already, and they're already in computers.
Right. And you don't have to buy a new computer to do it unless you absolutely feel the need to do it at home. Sorry. Archandra said, hey, Triggers forgot to substitute Alaska.
Oh,
sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
Although I think they've been programming them better, because when the TV commercial comes on and says, hey, Shlomo, remind me to watch, it doesn't happen.
But that's because there's an undertone.
Yeah.
Apparently there's an undertone that they put there that tells Alaska to not pay attention.
So we don't have that.
So anyway, the point here is you can already, if you want to, download your own AI stuff. Olama has a bunch of them. And other places. You can already use them on the web for free. You can already use them in things like Google Docs and other places. At this point, having them on your own computer, the only difference is, like I said, you can write your novel. You can have somebody else write your novel at the beach.
Well, that'll make the vacation a lot more enjoyable, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's that, yes. But you can set your computer up to do it at home and then go on vacation.
Even better.
There you go. You don't even have to have a computer with you.
Okay. All right, so there's no need to delay unnecessarily
no
purchase of the next laptop.
No, like I said, unless you have a use case, no.
Yeah.
You're working on your PhD in artificial intelligence.
And even then, you can do it online today.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we got to go. Going to take a quick break. Back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Nick Francesco. Who did I leave out? Oh, Steve Ray. Yeah, he's still here. And you. It is 29 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the longest-running computer show in the known universe. It's Sound Bytes. Give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free 800-790-0415. And we'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Dina Kodiak. Diplomatic efforts are underway to free the remaining hostages held by Hamas as the war between Israel and Hamas rages on in Gaza. CIA Director William Burns will meet with officials from Israel and Qatar this weekend in Europe to try and secure their release. This comes as the main hospital in the city of Han Yunis in the southern part of the region has reportedly run out of food and anesthesia. The White House is standing by Israel after the International Court of Justice ruled that the death toll in Gaza must be contained. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters the court's ruling is in line with the administration's position that Israel must minimize civilian casualties in its war with Hamas. Kirby added there's no evidence at this time Israel has committed genocide. Former President Trump is back on the campaign trail. Trump will speak at a rally in Las Vegas today ahead of the February Nevada primary and caucus. The former president had spent Friday in a New York City courtroom where a jury awarded E. Jean Carroll $83 million in Trump's civil damages trial. Dina Kodiak, NBC News Radio.
You may be surprised to discover that one of the most popular flavors in the world, vanilla, comes from an orchid. Hi, I'm Melinda Myers, horticulturist and gardening expert. The vanilla orchid vine is native to tropical forests of Central and South America. It was first used by Aztecs to flavor their chocolate drink. In its natural environment, the flowers are pollinated by a specific insect that inhabits the same areas as this orchid. When grown commercially outside of its native habitat, the flowers must be pollinated by hand for the long bean to develop. The beans are harvested, dried, and cured. This long, arduous process explains why vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world. As the demand for vanilla outgrew the supply, artificial vanillin was created. This synthetic version is made from a variety of items, including the lignin from paper pulp. Imitation vanilla extract is derived from synthetic vanillin, not the vanilla plant. Check out our website for this and other gardening tips.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by our members and by the Fine Arts Series at SUNY Brockport. Primetime Brass will mix the second-line sounds of Mardi Gras in New Orleans with favorite Beatles and Sinatra tunes at SUNY Brockport on Friday, February 2nd at 7:30 p.m. For more information and tickets, you may visit fineartstix.brockport.edu.
A solo guitar beneath the fingers of Cal Collins, our guest within the essence of jazz. At 5 years of age, he played bluegrass music on the mandolin. With the guitar at 8, Cal became interested in jazz, and surprisingly, he was not influenced by guitar recordings, but by the pianists.
They were my major influence, I think. Piano players were, more than guitar, because I heard, outside of Django, as a matter of fact, I heard piano players, Tatum and Waller, and some of the real old Pete Johnson type boogie woogie.
Stride type.
Yeah, I loved that stuff. So that was really my first influence, I think. And,
Well, were you
jazz.
attempting to translate that to the guitar?
Right.
I mean, you could do a stride guitar?
Not so well. Not so well.
This is Will Moyle. Enjoy the conversation and music of Cal Collins here on The Essence of Jazz.
The Essence of Jazz with Will Moyle, Saturday nights at 6, only on members-supported Jazz 90.1.
I'm Jennifer, a retired veteran. Money's tight, but I shop right by planning my meals ahead of time. When making a shopping list, I check for ingredients I already have along with their expiration dates. I save money by buying only what I need and sticking to my list. Learn how you can shop right when money's tight. Visit snapedny.org. Save time, save money, eat healthy.
SNAP-Ed is funded by USDA Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
Cloudy today with just a touch of drizzle or very light snow in spots as any fog dissipates, the high 40. Cloudy tonight, low 31. Cloudy tomorrow with wet snow mixed with rain near the lake. Snow accumulations tomorrow through tomorrow night. Limited, very little near the lakeshore, but several inches could accumulate over higher elevations south of the thruway through tomorrow evening. The high tomorrow, 35. I'm meteorologist Kevin Williams on Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got cloudy skies, 42 degrees out at the airport and 43 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
This is Matt Shackelford. Join me or Rick Petrie on alternating Tuesdays from 9 to midnight on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
And there's the next takedown notice. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 35 minutes after the hour, we are Soundbites. And we have William screaming all the way from Hampton, Virginia. Can you hear us, William?
Very well, sir. How you guys doing this afternoon?
The miracle of electronics. Very well. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Keeping warm down there?
Actually, we've cooled down a little bit, but I would trade the temperatures we have for you guys because it's not cold enough for me.
Okay, that's enough out of you, William.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
I was going to say, you...
I used to live in Queens, you know.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
Spent most of my time either in my apartment or on the train. I wasn't big about walking around the street. Well, back in those days, nobody walked around the streets in Queens. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I have Zorin, and for a considerable length of time, I had a situation where Firefox would, by default, boost the volume to 100%. So I did several things, and I looked in several places for answers, and I also, did the bard.google.com thing, and I do believe that I may have hit upon the solution this morning after I had done the Bard thing. It seems like, I don't know about other distros, but it seems like for Zorin, what I wound up having to do was to go into the Pulse Audio and open it up and then click on the Output Devices tab and then click on the section for the audio controller analog stereo, and I was able to move the volume slider the appropriate distance to where I got it to 53% at it's saying right now minus 16.67 dB. But anyway, I have closed the tab that I've been doing the streaming. I closed tabs that I've been doing audio streaming with several times and reopened them, and it seems like it's working now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you've reset the default on that particular controller.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, but what I had to do, and like I said, I don't know how it would work for other distros, but what I had to do was open Pulse Audio Control to make the adjustment.
Right. So it's happening after the audio controller itself. Nice.
Yeah. Yes. And but the strange thing about it is that I noticed that it seemed like I only had the problem with Firefox. With Brave, I didn't notice the problem, but I don't know. It's just like really peculiar to Firefox.
Well, what it sounds like is that Brave is taking the audio you set through the front end, and Firefox is taking the audio you set through the back end.
Oh, okay, to the back end. Okay, yeah, that would definitely make sense.
Before processing and after processing, essentially.
But anyway, that's what I managed to do.
Excellent. Thank you, William. Appreciate it.
Of course, I just wanted, in closing, I just wanted to say that I'd seen several different posts about the matter on Reddit and Quora and all that. So I thought I'd just share that.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Of course. You guys enjoy your day. Great show as usual.
Thanks. You have fun. See, this is what I like is when our users call up with actual answers. It's easier than us having to figure them out.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. It makes our job that much easier. And Lord knows I'm all about making it easier for me.
Who do we ask when we have a problem?
Well, that's just it. I've said this for decades. Never be the smartest person in the room. Absolutely. You don't learn anything when you are.
Yep.
That's how that works. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Gary from Greece, New York. What's up, Gary?
Good. How you guys doing?
Peachy, you?
Good. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to recover my Gmail account. I did the process, and I got it back on the 22nd of November. I went back to it like a couple of days ago. Now it's gone again. I'm more concerned about the stuff I got on the Google Drive. So how do I get it back? And I've been through all their prompts that are there. Nothing.
When you got it back the first time, do you know why? I mean, was it somebody getting your password or?
No, I'm not sure what happened. I just all of a sudden just lost it.
So when you try to log into your Google account now, what's the exact error message?
Username is not, the account's not there, whatever.
No, well, I'm sorry, but without the actual error message, it's hard for us to do any diagnoses. So, what we need is the actual error message you get when you try to log in.
Okay, I have to go back and do that.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
Sometimes that'll point you in a different direction, whether it says username not found or password incorrect or account locked or something like that. Yeah.
One more question, if I may.
Sure.
I do have several Gmail accounts, particularly on the drives. And I've got different things on different drives.
Right.
How do I search? Instead of going to one drive at a time, one account at a time, is there a way to search all the way through all my 5 or 6 or 7 accounts rather than going through logging out, logging back in again?
Good question.
Share them to each other?
That's the only way I can think of. If you share them among each other, each one essentially shows up in all the others.
Right. How would you do that?
When you have you can share a document or you can share a folder. So if your things are in folders, it's easier. You share the whole folder. So what you do is you go in and say to the folder, you click share, and then you put in all of the accounts that you want to share it with. If they're all Gmail accounts, it's pretty easy. If they're not Gmail accounts, then they get a message that they have to answer, and then you have to approve.
Right.
But you can do it either way. And then there are other ways where you can add them using third-party products, but that assumes you trust. All those third-party products.
If you're sharing it between your own accounts,
right?
Then you don't have to trust a third party, and it shows up in the shared with me section when you look at Google Drive on the web.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a try.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
And write down that error message. Yeah, it's. I'm sorry, folks, but most of the time, the error message will at least give us a clue as to where to start. Otherwise, we don't really have a handle on where to get started. I get that a lot with Ask Nick. As many of you know, I have a newsletter I put out, Ask Nick newsletter. People write in computer questions and I answer them. And often I can't answer them because they haven't given me enough information. It could be any one of 200 or 300 things, and the newsletter is only so long every week. So,
yeah, we get that a lot. Customer brought a computer in today, and it's their son's, and the symptom is it's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, really.
Right. It doesn't boot up, or it doesn't it gets is there a sad Mac? They probably don't have sad Mac anymore.
Yeah,
but
does it power on? Can you
Right.
log in?
Right. How far do you get before it doesn't work anymore?
Yeah, and they don't know because it's the son's, and he's off at college, and
Right.
so there's another. They need it fast because he's off at college.
Right. All right.
But we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
We'll figure it out.
In the meantime, buy him a Chromebook. Our next caller is Dave from Canandaigua, New York. What's up, Dave?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
It is.
I have answers to questions that nobody's asking. A couple
Excellent.
of them.
All right.
But a quick one for the previous caller about multiple accounts to get your drive. You could just open up a new tab in your browser, and then just switch accounts. You know, click on the dot on the upper right there, and
right.
so now you got your drive on each different tab as your different whatever.
Right.
So back when I was using LastPass, and they killed everybody that was getting it for free, so I almost didn't switch to Bitwarden because I couldn't figure out how to make Bitwarden work on my phone, because what they don't make clear and simple is that you have to turn off your Wi-Fi on your phone in order to sync Bitwarden. And that fixes pretty much every problem that I've ever had with that. You just turn off the Wi-Fi, and then it uses the cellular in order to get into Bitwarden's servers.
That's
to
weird.
sync your stuff. And so, you know, if somebody has been trying to use Bitwarden and they're frustrated by that, just turn off the Wi-Fi and you'll get right in. Syncing works fine.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'm seeing you have to add Wi-Fi sync as a preference.
Oh, so if you don't add
no,
Wi-Fi sync,
it won't sync over
it
Wi-Fi.
won't sync over Wi-Fi. I get it.
No matter what you do, it won't sync over Wi-Fi.
Right.
It works okay on the computer, but on a cell phone, it does not. So,
Interesting.
And
Thanks.
now I have an old tab. This is on top of the other one. I have an old Tab A, which has no cellular service, so I don't have a phone number, so I don't really have. All right.
Right.
So how do I get Bitwarden to work with that? Well, it only took me a million hours, but if I use Bluetooth tethering between the phone that's actually connected to the internet and the tablet, which has no phone, then it finds its way to the internet. I can even sync Bluetooth on my tablet that doesn't even have phone.
Nice. Very, very nice.
Questions nobody was asking, or maybe they were.
But good answers anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave. Nice work.
Sure. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right.
There we are. This, like I said, now let's everybody just call in with your answers. Never mind your questions.
Yep.
We'll just sit here and say good work. That's what we do. So yeah, we're pretty happy when people can do that. Who is that? Anonymous Squirrel? Is that who it is? Yeah. Okay, I've got a pinky finger discipline. Not Anonymous Chipmunk. Pinky finger discipline. I keep hitting the pad with my pinky and doing things, clicking on things.
I hit it with the heel of my thumb.
Okay, is this Fred from Rochester, even though it's semi-crossed out? Mm-hmm. Okay. Our next caller is Fred from Rochester, New York. What's up, Fred?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Peachy, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. You had talked about before with the Gmail account and having a recovery plan. The previous caller might want to hear that advice again.
Yeah. So everybody now in every account you have, email, banks, whatever, make sure you have a recovery email address, a second email address on your account. So if the first one has a problem, you can use the second one, and see about setting up a legacy contact. So if you pass, who has access to your data?
Right.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, that's something I've got. You know, a backup phone number, backup email.
Yep.
All of those things that are in case I do something goofy and lose it.
That's often why you can't get back into your Google account. You know, username and password aren't working, and so you say forgot, and it says, "All right, we'll text you a code." Well, if they don't have your phone number, they can't text you the code. You can't get back in.
So you need to make sure you have your regular password, your phone number, two-factor authentication, and and some legacy people who can get into your account if the inevitable happens, when the inevitable happens. because many of us, all of us are at the point where at any day it could be important that somebody else gets to our banking and our information. So set those things up, and like we said earlier, set up somebody to at your accounts. Get a second person on all your accounts.
Google has a privacy checkup thing where it will check through you and make sure you have all these things turned on. They used to give you extra drive space by filling out the privacy security checkup, but they
That's why
don't
I have
anymore.
19 gig instead of only 15. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Thanks, Fred.
So I got a question on it's now tax season, and I do all my tax communications with an accountant via my phone, and I get a PDF that's I need to sign. Is there other than buying a DocuSign or Adobe? Is there a service or a way to do that other than printing it out, signing it, and rescanning it? I did that last year.
Doesn't the Foxit PDF reader do
Yeah,
signing?
but what do you have, an Android phone or?
Android phone, yep.
Okay, on Android.
Yeah, so you need a PDF reader that allows for forms.
Yeah, I need to sign it. I gotta get to that little window and sign it. I did the free version of DocuSign 1 year, but I can't go back and get the trial version again the second year, even though I discontinued it, and then you go back to it, and it says you've already used your trial version.
So the free Adobe Reader will do many documents to fill and sign. I think the Foxit PDF Reader will also.
Yeah, and you can also go to Adobe's Fill and Sign a PDF website where you upload the document, sign it online, and download the signed version back to your phone.
Even password protected?
That I do not know.
Okay.
That I do not know. I know it will password protect one you've already signed. I don't know if it will do that to one that. I mean, I've not really used it, but we'll have Steve.
So go through the browser to Adobe.
Yeah, it's Steve's going to post it, but it's at adobe.com/acrobat/online/sign-pdf.html. But he's going to.
Google Adobe Fill and Sign.
Yeah.
But it will be up on our link list in a moment.
Okay, I'll look there. Okay, great. I think that covers it.
All righty.
All right, excellent. Thanks.
And I've run into similar situations where Apple's PDF reader built into the Mac can do most form filling in, but it has trouble with some IRS forms, which is weird. But other forms are fine.
Now, there is an Android and Apple app called Adobe Acrobat Sign, which will use your thumbprint as your legal signature.
Ah.
So you might also want to take a look at that. It's called Adobe Acrobat Sign, and you can get it in either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store.
Again.
So that probably is the easiest and best way to do it, I would imagine. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Gary, calling back from Greece, New York. What's up, Gary?
Okay, I signed in with my lost email.
Yeah.
And the only message I get is couldn't find your Google account. Now I do have a recovery email, a verification email. I don't know what else I can do.
There should be a forgot password link and a forgot username link.
Well, the only thing I see on here is forgot email, like nothing else.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
I do that and I get nothing.
So when you tap on that link, nothing comes up?
I mean,
do you have pop-ups blocked, maybe? So it's blocking the window that's trying to come up?
Hello?
It's just asking for my recovery email.
Right, so give it the other email address.
Okay, let me try it.
Gary, we have a problem. We keep losing
You got your radio on in the background.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Now it's asking me for my name and address.
Yeah, okay, put all that stuff in. Just fill it all out. Okie doke?
Yep.
All right, good luck. Just fill out the form.
he had some bad feedback.
It sounds like a machine gun going off too.
What it sounds like is he's on he's on a phone that doesn't do multitasking well, and he's talking to us at the same time he's
And he
using
had the
web
radio
browser,
on in the
and he had the
background.
radio on in the background. It was a little much. Yeah, just fill out the form and they should send you something back again. As to why you lose your account, there are 100 reasons. Sometimes it's Google's screw up. Sometimes it's people who've taken over your account because you have a lousy password. Let's just be honest. And sometimes you forget and type in the wrong password too many times. Most of those problems are solved with a good password manager. But if you can get into your account, having an alternate email address they can send information to, and a password recovery phone number should help.
And if you don't have either of those, you could be out of luck.
You could be completely out of luck.
They have no way
to
to prove that's your account, so they won't let you back in.
Right, and it is certainly possible that someone who breaks into your account would change those things, but that's why you have two-factor authentication, so that they can't get in the first place, and a super long password so that you have never used anywhere else, so that it is less likely that they can get that password from somebody. And to help with that, that's where you get the password manager. Let the password manager make a 100-character password and install it, and you don't care anymore.
Yep.
The only place you should not use long, involved, complex passwords is for logins to some of your streaming services, because you have to do them online with the left, down, down.
Pain in the butt.
That's a pain in the butt.
Although many of them now will tell you to go to a link on your phone.
I love that.
And then your phone puts the password in for you, and then the phone tells the back end to let that TV in.
Right.
Those are nice.
I love to watch that because you click the yes or the whatever it is you do, and then you just sit there and watch magic happen on the screen. I love that. That's great stuff. They all need to do that. But yeah, so look, your first line of defense is your username and password and all the attendant things that go along with that, the recovery password, the security questions, the phone number, all of that stuff. Set it all up, put it in a password manager, and now you don't have to worry anymore.
And it is tedious and it is annoying, but the bad guys are more so. And if you can't get back into your own account, that's much more tedious and annoying.
Right. It's a lot less tedious to fill out a password manager than it is to try to recover your account from Google or, God forbid, Facebook.
Yeah.
So be aware that those things are doable. They're fixable. You just have to take a minute to set them up each time, and that's all it takes. All right, that music tells us we are done for another week. I want to thank everybody who called in. I want to thank everybody listening. I want to thank Dave Enright. I want to thank Steve Ray. I'm Nick Francesco. We are done for this week, but we're still here. So, join us next week with a whole lot more of the longest running computer show in the known universe. That would be Sound Bytes, right here on the Truly Great and Truly Grateful to you, because it is only with your help that we remain on the air, because we are solely member-supported Jazz 90.1. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in just 166 hours. Be good to one another, will you, for Pete's sake?